My name is Bob Streepy, and I'm in a 1963 Triumph TR4. I live in Bartlett. This particular car was bought new in 1963 on the south side of Chicago and given by two professors at the University of Chicago to their son as a college graduation gift. He drove it for 4 years before becoming involved in a serious accident. The car was taken off the road. It parked in 1967. It remained stationary until 2007. I found out about it at that point in time. A good friend of mine was at that time the president of the local Triumph Club, and I was also an officer. The younger sister of the original owner was settling her parents' estate. They had recently deceased. She was selling the house, the contents, and to include the contents of the carriage house, which this car was still in. So he and several other of us went to Chicago. He bought the car from her. There were 5 of us that April day in 2008 who dragged this thing out of a 40-year hibernation. His original plan was to take whatever parts were salvageable and sell it as parts because the body damage was extensive. But as he got into it more and more, he found that the car was eminently salvageable. There was no damage to the frame. There was no rust in the car, which for a Midwestern Triumph is unheard of. The car had 12,444 miles on it. And so I persuaded him to sell me the car with the understanding that he would help me with the restoration, and he agreed to do that. Over the next 2 years, disassembled it, restored, cleaned, coated, replaced, everything on the car, and 2 weeks ago today we fired it up for the first time. This car is powered by a 4-cylinder overhead valve, wet liner engine. It's got twin side draft SU carburetors on it. The engine itself produces just about 100 horsepower. In stock tune, it'll reach the century mark. I've yet to push this car over 100, but I'm confident that it would do that. The brakes are discs in the front, drums in the back. This car has a 4-speed manual transmission with an electric overdrive. Driving this particular car, at least for me, has been very pleasant. You have to have driven Triumphs to realize that quiet and Triumph is really kind of an oxymoron. But this car is very quiet, it's rock solid. I can only assume, I didn't drive a Triumph in 1963. I was driving then, but I didn't drive a Triumph. This car is tighter and straighter and more solid than I think it would have been when it was brand new. The restoration was done with the idea of duplicating showroom stock conditions. This is a concours restoration, so everything in here is to the best of my ability as original as possible. For someone who's interested in Triumphs or who has a Triumph and would like to establish an instant network, the Illinois Sports Owners Association is the Chicagoland club for Triumph enthusiasts. We have technical clinics, usually in the winter months, at least once a month. We have social functions. You know, it's an organization made up of enthusiasts. We welcome anyone who shares our interest and passion for Triumphs.